Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm the president of Alignment Group. This is episode 173 of The Funnel, Sales, the Key to Hiring Millennials. If you remember episode 172, we talked about millennials, adapt or die. You might be thinking, why is he talking about millennials again? Well, after posting the last podcast and talking to a couple of folks about this situation and kind of noodling it around a little bit, I felt like it was something I wanted to continue to talk about. I wanted to continue the conversation because I think it's really important to understand that the people that are going to be basically managing the vast majority of our economy moving forward need to be understood. And when you're talking about sales and growing revenue and growing your company, this is a resource that you must tap into. But it's not the standard fare. It's the same as when I talked about sales skills training and how sales has evolved. You go way back in my podcast a few years ago and you look at that, especially with my partner Lindsay, when we were doing the podcast together, we talked a lot about the role of salespeople changing and how to be successful, salespeople needed to adapt to the new world, especially this very technical, inbound-driven world. And we've seen that change, and we've seen the outcome of that. Well, this is kind of the next big thing. This is a group of people that represent the biggest part of our economy moving forward, and we sure as heck better figure out how to get them involved in the sales community and how to get them working with our companies, because that's the only way we're going to be successful. So today, you will learn that collaboration wins the day. Job security is key to millennials. How they feel about corporate culture, and you as the leader. What's your role? What's leadership's role in all of this? Let's talk about collaboration wins the day. We know selling is different today than it used to be. We've talked about that 100 times. I just did a minute ago. That the world has evolved. The buyers have access to information way more than they did in the past. And a salesperson's role in that account is one of a collaborator. You're there to help them solve a problem. So the days of, I have all the information and you need that from me and you have to trust me with my information or else, are over. It's about driving the conversation in a way that helps prospects. Well, unlike previous generations of salespeople and previous generations of people, millennials like that cooperation. That's the world they've grown up in. It doesn't mean they're not competitive. It's just that they view the world differently than we do. They're competitive. They're cooperative. They want to work together as a group. They value the ability to talk to different people on big issues and create some outcome. And they look at sales in some cases as if that doesn't exist. It can appear that you're on your own and that all you're doing is competing with one another and competing with outside sources. And yes, there is competition. There's competition in everything. But there isn't that competition, or they don't want that competition between their coworkers and sales reps. They want collaboration. They want to help their clients and they want to help each other. And I think that's great. So I'm going to give a piece of advice to millennials here. There's a lot of people that you work with that are older than you and more experienced than you that can teach you a lot about business and interacting with people and selling. Things that you can take away and mold into all that you've learned in collaborating and working with one another to solve problems growing up. So I think they feel like this is untenable. But what they don't understand is that's how we sell today. We work together. We try to help clients solve their problem. We don't use the old stereotypes. We're here to help people. And quite frankly, if you can't help them in today's world, if you can't meet what they're trying to achieve, you tell them and you move on. Or maybe you can't meet everything. You're honest and upfront. You're guiding them and helping them and consulting with them so they get the best possible answer they can get from their company. Millennials value that. So I want to talk about job security, because I think it's very, very important to millennials. And I said this in the last podcast. Sales represents risk. I think it's the other way around. I think it's not being in sales represents risk. I think not hiring millennials represents risk. But the stereotypes that attract millennial workers aren't very good, right? I talked about that. Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, people being vicious and ruthless and predatory in the business. They don't want that. They want security. They want to know that they're helping people. They want to know that the job's going to be there. They want to know that there's stability and safety. And the Hollywood representation of that versus reality is not very good. Hollywood tells a different story, but that's just not true. They're looking for that safe haven, and that sort of the variable pay structure that sales represents seems risky to them. Job security is very, very important to millennials, and with good reason. Think about it. Think about where they're coming from. 2008, the economy collapses. Huge education debt. It costs a fortune to go to college today. And there's a lot of debt that's incurred. They know they need stability and good income to get out from under that debt and live the kind of life they want to live. Now, it may not mean the same things that it meant to us. It may not mean a big house or a new boat. It could be travel. Whatever it is that they want. But they'll soon find out, like we all know, that the life you want to lead costs money. And the only way you're going to get out of debt is to have a good job to pay for that. Sales can be a very stable job if you're good at it and you do the job right and you learn and you help your customers and you consult with your customers. You can be very successful, make a good living, a lot of money, pay off that debt. So they want to know that job security is there. They want to know that, okay, now I use the word stress here. Some people get scared off by a job that's paid strictly on commissions. It's because they don't understand the rules of the game. They don't understand how this works. It's your job to explain that to them. Yes, in the beginning it does represent a little risk. Most companies provide some form of foundation or cushion for new salespeople to get up and running and productive before they put them in that role of commission. I know we did that a lot, and I have clients that do that as well. The real stress is not in the income, because then they figure out that the higher the commission percentage and the lower the base salary, the more money they're going to make, especially if they're good. That stress goes away. Now, salespeople might say, it's a stressful job. Well, to each his own, I guess. But if you're really good at it, you do it well, you always have options. Good salespeople have options. They always will. You want to find a really good sales rep to work for your company? Don't find an out-of-work sales rep. Good ones have options. So I think the lesson here in the job security is to help them understand there's not as much risk as they think there is. And the Hollywood story is not real. There is good security and good money in sales, and it might help you achieve a lot of the things you're looking to achieve. Just want to take a moment here and say, for those of you listening to episode 173, head on over to alignment-group.com/the-funnel. That's our podcast page. Click on episode 173 and download the 6-step sales hiring process infographic. I said that really fast. The sales hiring process infographic takes you through each steps of the sales hiring process. You can build your sales hiring process around this. It's a great little tool for you to have if you're looking to hire salespeople. So head on over and download it. And if you want, sign up for the funnel. We'll let you know whenever there's a new episode. I want to talk about corporate culture for a section. I'm not going to edit that. I want to talk about corporate culture for a second, because I think it's important to understand the kind of culture that millennials are looking for. They don't want a company that has a lot of turnover. A lot of sales companies have turnover. A lot of industries have turnover. And I don't buy it. I don't buy it when people say, well, that's just the nature of the beast. That's our industry. That's our business. That's a bunch of baloney. I was in an industry with a lot of turnover in a previous job. And the collective in that company of management and sales managed to reduce that turnover significantly. We never had an empty territory. As a matter of fact, we had more people than territories. And we kept them a long time. I think the average life for a sales rep in our company at the time was 7.5 or 8 years. That's a long time. A long time. Especially when a good portion of your hires are fresh out of college. So it can be done. They want stability. You got to reduce turnover. They don't want to see a place where there's a lot of turnover. It doesn't smell good to them. I don't blame them. That makes for an unstable environment. They want to settle into a routine and a company that values them. Companies that value employees don't have high turnover. They want teamwork. Teamwork's important, not only externally with the client and the prospect, but internally. They want to know that you have their back and that you're going to support them and they can support you and their fellow employees. It's very, very important to them. They want a higher purpose. It's very simple. They want to do more. They want to have a reason to do this. Now, I've always advised people, do what you're passionate about. Don't do it just for the money. They want respect. We'll talk about that in a second with leadership's role. They want you to respect them and for them to respect you. They don't want a corporate culture that's dictatorial with a lack of respect for new employees because they don't know anything. They want to be treated with respect and vice versa. And I've always said, look, if somebody comes in and they do a great job for me, why would I treat them poorly just because they're new? And I think people confuse this part with entitled, like they want something for nothing. No, they've been taught to treat people with respect, and they accept nothing less. Kudos to this generation. Kudos to their parents. It's okay. This isn't 1955. What's leadership's role in all of this? Where do the leaders fit in? And the leaders are a mixed bag, right? There's still some people here that in leadership roles that have been around a while. Some baby boomers and a little bit younger. So it's not all millennials that are in leadership roles. Yes, they're slowly moving into those roles. I see it every day. But that's not always the case. So how do leaders adjust to this new group of folks that are coming into their companies? Well, old school management doesn't really work. That sort of top-down, dictatorial, I tell you what to do, it just turns people off because they're not used to living that life. They have some say in some conversation growing up in their lives, in school, in their families, even in some of their jobs. They're not going to come work for you and put themselves in that position. They want real leadership. They want people who will work with them, who won't ask them to do something they're not willing to do themselves. They want somebody to roll up their sleeves and teach them how to work and how to do the job and how to sell. They don't want somebody just pointing a finger and saying, go do that. They want somebody to coach them and develop them. They want you to help them get better at their job. The number one job of a sales manager in today's world is to coach. Yes, you need to hold people accountable, and there is some management that goes along with that. But if you spend your time coaching and developing and you hold people accountable, you will be successful as a manager. And that's all they're looking for. They want real leadership. They want somebody who's going to jump in and teach them how to do it. They don't want somebody that's just going to yell at them when they make a mistake. They want somebody who's going to take them aside and show them what they did wrong and how they can do it right the next time and encourage them to move forward. And when they get better, they want acknowledgement for that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, you might say, hey, we do all this stuff. That's great. In my travels, I've seen it working. I've seen it in place, and in other places I haven't. I've had to coach people to get to that point. Like, look, you can't run a dictatorship in your business. Culture doesn't work anymore. And it all starts with the leader. You have good leadership in place, good management in place, everything falls after that. You want millennials? Look at your managers. Look at yourself as an owner if you're looking to hire somebody. What am I doing to contribute to their success? So that kind of concludes my rant, my 2-podcast rant on millennials. I will say that I did, and I'm going to put this out, she's going to listen to it. I did sort of run this by my millennial, my own personal millennial. And she was pleasantly surprised at my viewpoint on this. But I probably said it 1,000 times to other managers. Maybe I didn't say it enough to her, but I believe in millennials. I believe in the work ethic. They want to do well. They want to succeed. They came through a pretty tough era. And I think they have good, strong heads on their shoulders in a lot of ways. Now, does that mean I just hire them because they're millennial? No. I go through the hiring process. I take that funnel and I put the candidates in and I slowly eliminate the ones that don't fit. So I get down to the few that I think could fit into my organization. And then I weed, one by one, I weed them out until I find the right person. And what am I doing? I'm looking for a really good sales rep and I'm reducing risk. Same thing. And that's what we want to do here. And that's how we want to manage it. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to The Funnel by going to alignment-group.com/thefunnel. You can find Alignment Group on Facebook, me, at Shay John R on Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+. You can reach out to me personally, jshay at alignment-group.com. And my website, alignment-group.com. Again, thanks for listening, and until next time, keep filling the funnel.